God, who was going before the Israelite army, moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved from in front of them and took its place behind them. It came between the army of Egypt and the army of Israel. And so the cloud was there with the darkness, and it lit up the night. One did not come near. And it lit up the night. One did not come near the other all night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. The Lord drove the sea back by a strong east wind all night, and turned the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. The Israelites went into the sea on dry ground, the waters forming a wall for them on the right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued and went into the sea after them, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and chariot drivers. At the morning watch, the Lord in the pillar of fire and cloud looked down upon the Egyptian army and threw the Egyptian army into panic. He clogged their chariot wheels so that they turned with difficulty. The Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the Israelites, for the Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the water may come back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots and chariot drivers." So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at dawn the sea returned to its normal depth. As the Egyptians fled before it, the Lord tossed the Egyptians into the sea. The waters returned and covered the chariots and the chariot drivers. The entire army of Pharaoh that had followed them into the sea, not one of them remained. But the Israelites walked on dry ground through the sea, the waters forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day from the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Israel saw the great work that the Lord did against the Egyptians. So the people feared the Lord and believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses. This is the word of God.
Thank you, Rhonda. Last fall, and I'm not exaggerating, we caught crappies over a foot long with astounding regularity. We found 3 holes just below the Alma Dam, back in the Wiggle Waggle kind of, that consistently produce these tasty little monsters. I have been so looking forward to doing that again. But guess what? Gone. The holes, the fish, they're gone. One thing about the Mississippi River, spring high water makes changes all the time. Meanwhile, Bob is continuing to search for those crappies. It's a hard job. Water initiates change. Just ask the Israelites. Pharaoh had no sooner released the Israelites from slavery in Egypt than he changed his mind. And he went after them. So now here they are. Now this is thousands of little kids and grandmas and mothers and lovers, with soldiers closing in on the one side and the Red Sea on the other side. And here they are, stuck in the middle. And just when it seemed that they were trapped no matter what, God made a new way for them. What God gave them was another chance. And as they stepped off that shoreline into the bed of a now dry sea, they left their old lives behind them. Whatever had been enslaving them fell away. The further they ventured into the path that God had laid out for them, the further behind what they didn't need got further behind. Water initiates change. You know, before Jesus called a single disciple, before he healed anybody, before he preached a sermon, he let his cousin John dunk him down into the Jordan River. And just as Jesus sputtered up out of those waters of baptism, the Holy Spirit swirled around him, and God proclaimed, "You are my Son, my beloved. With you I am well pleased." It was just water. In fact, it was probably dirty water. If you've ever seen the Jordan. And yet, now either you are a big fan of "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" or you hate it. It's one of those kinds of movies. I happen to be one of the people that loves that movie, and I especially love the baptism scene. So Pete and Delmer and Everett are standing near a river, and they see dozens of people in white robes coming towards, remember that scene, anybody? Towards the river, and they're singing, "When I come down to the river to pray." Remember that? Okay, they're all coming towards the river. And Everett, played by George Clooney, says, "Hard times flush the chumps." Delmar, on the other hand, plunges into the water, makes his way to the preacher, butts in front of everybody so he can be first in line. And then just as he emerges from the river, Pete, who's still on the riverbank, says, "Well, I'll be a son of a biscuit. Delmar's been saved." Delmar joyfully, he wades back out and he announces, preacher says, "All my sins is forgiven. Even that Piggly Wiggly I knocked over in Yazoo." It's silly, I know, but Delmar was open to the possibility that there is the holy within the ordinary. One day Jesus asked a woman at a well if she would give him a little drink. She was never the same after that. Another time a storm came up on the Sea of Galilee and his disciples were terrified, and he calmed the storm and their lives were changed forever. And then there's that time that Jesus turned water into wine, which is really more of a party story, and yet it still is an example of God in the extraordinary God in the ordinary thing. And then there's Jonah and the whale, there's Noah's Ark, all these water stories. Moses set adrift in the Nile in a basket, and Peter walking on water. Apparently it isn't just water at work here. In the Gospel of John, Jesus says, "Let anyone who is thirsty come to me, and let the one who believes in me drink. As the scripture has said, out of the believer's heart shall flow rivers of living water." Out of the believer's heart shall flow rivers of living water. My mom passed away in 2010. And my sisters and I were fortunate enough to be there through her transition that started about 10 o'clock one night and went till 6 the next morning. And we took turns swabbing her mouth with cool water. And we dampened a cloth and we took turns placing it on her forehead. And these were holy acts. That was no ordinary water. It held lifetimes of love and care and allowed us to consider the changes that were about to occur, not just for us, beautiful changes for her. Because I think it's when we feel the most useless and the most helpless that God intervenes in the ordinary and shows you that you are precious and necessary and important. God uses ordinary things that surround us every day to show us new possibilities. We just have to watch for them. As the Israelites hustled across that seabed and they're eyeballing the walls of water on either side, they're moving into a new life with God as their leader, as their Savior, as their hero. As Amy and Olivia accepted the waters of baptism this morning, We all participated in that sacred act. God was freeing us from the past, inviting us into all of us, into new lives of healing, into new lives of joy. Today you are each standing on the banks of that sea. You're on the banks of that sea. And maybe it feels like the past is bearing down on you. Maybe it seems like your choices are limited. The sea or the soldiers. Maybe fear or dread is making you feel unsure of yourself. Or maybe you are absolutely ready to truly put God first in your life. And move into the next moment, and then tomorrow, and then next week, and then next month, with God leading you. Because love initiates change, and you are the beloved. Amen. And I invite a couple of our leaders of our summer lunch program forward. They're going to share a little bit of our very successful program.
Thank you.
Don't forget to introduce yourself.
Somehow I got double duty today. It's easier being behind the piano. Good morning. I'm Rhonda Adams, and I was asked to speak briefly to you today about the Trempealeau Community Summer Lunch Program held here at our church. I'm speaking today on behalf of Diane Dobert, and she's going to speak a little bit to you too, and Cindy Wagner, newly retired third grade teacher, right over here, and Sue Byam, who's with us today too, in the back there. We would like to start with a big thank you to you, the church, for your generosity toward the success of the summer lunch program. We so appreciate the use of our beautiful kitchen for preparing our meals, and the use of our back room, a downstairs room for storage of our supplies, as well as use of the gathering area for us to serve the meals to people as they come in. We also appreciate the use of both refrigerators, and they both get plenty full every week. Thank you to our volunteers, including those that helped us unload groceries each week, and those who helped in the kitchen, whether they are from our congregation or from the community. We also appreciate the monthly collection that was taken and given to us for the program. Our use of the kitchen makes more work for the church custodian. We thank Pat for all her work. We need to thank those that helped out and worked at the Trumpealeau County Fair and the Trumpealeau County Ag Society for giving us the opportunity to work the gates for our program here. A big thanks to the Lions Club and the VFW for their financial support and donation of supplies. The Hunger Task Force in La Crosse allows us the opportunity to gather food each week for our meals. This support is so appreciated. Thank you to Pastor Mary Beth for her continued support, leadership, and flexibility. We couldn't do any of this without all of you and your support. This is our 9th year at the Trempealeau Summer Lunch Program, and our 6th year of serving at this church. We averaged 110 meals a day. We serve 22 days during the summer, every Monday and Wednesday, for a total of 2,420 meals served. We serve the young, the caregivers, the elderly, all age groups. We served a large group of at-risk children. Our numbers increase when summer school is in session. Now Diane would like to share a few words with you.
As most of you know, I'm Diane Dobert. I just have a feel-good story. We are trying very hard to get elderly people and adults into our program because now it's all the food is offered to all. It isn't a specific age group. We had an elderly couple that came in. They were very meek and quiet, and they asked if they had to split a dinner. We said no, they could have as many dinners as that they would like, and explained the program to them. We showed them where the meal coupons were and told them they could take one of those for each meal. And they were like, really? And we're like, yeah. Well, could we get a third just because we have a neighbor that's in a wheelchair? We said, of course you can. We said, would you like another dinner for later in the week? No, we couldn't do that because other people need the food. And so they took their meals, their meal coupons, and left. The next week they came back in and they got their dinners. They were still very meek and quiet. And then they said, do you have a donation jar? And we're like, well, really, no. I said, this is all free. And she's like, well, we'd like to donate $2. I felt like, oh my God, that's like probably $10 to me. Was that $10? Was that $1 to them? For both of them, whatever. And the next week they continued to do that, is to give the $2. And it made them feel good. It made me feel absolutely wonderful that they came. So encourage all your friends and families all to come to dinner.
So as we look to the future, we will need more volunteers to help prepare, serve, travel to the Hunger Task Force to pick up food, shop for supplies, unload groceries, and just help keep things organized. We start serving each year in June, and any new interested volunteers could contact Pastor in the spring. If you are interested, please watch for her emails. Thank you.